What's
There
up,
it
Jess?
is. Hey, everyone. What's going on,
Alright.
guys? Long time no see.
We're trying something a little new, so we're gonna kind of connect all the dots here and wait for some people to get on so we can make sure everything is connected and you're seeing us. We typically do our lives through Facebook, if you've been to any in the past. So we're trying to expand a bit, get on Instagram and YouTube all at the same time, but technology. So we're all learning here. We're gonna see how this goes. We gotta turn
So
this
I
volume
see that
down.
I have captions on my face on the live. It's cool. They can understand what I'm saying, but it's like right
Oh yeah?
across.
I wonder if we
Yeah,
can
so
turn
maybe
those
we
off
have
if
to
you don't
bring
need
that
them.
down.
Yeah,
We
I
started a
think
little
that's,
early, guys, so that we could work out the kinks to see what we're doing here. But it looks pretty cool.
yeah, I'm seeing some stuff. I'm seeing comments come in, so this is working well. I think, it's just a matter of, depends on what platform you're on. Where are you looking? Where are you looking right now, Jess?
Facebook.
You're on Facebook? Okay, on Instagram, it's kind of the
Yeah.
same thing. You got the comments on the bottom, but you can move them. But either way, I think they can hear us fine, and we're trying to get some questions answered today. We got a lot of questions for you. We had an awesome Shear Confidence webinar on Monday night.
Yes.
Amazing.
Yes.
Everybody
I want
loved
to thank
it.
everybody who came out for that, especially like my pet grooming people who really wanted this. Big shout out to you guys, and big shout out to you guys at Groom House for doing it, because this was a specialty and it was catered around my specialty and it was really open and we had a
Yeah.
lot of fun.
So much information too. Everybody said they learned so much. And we had
Yeah.
so many questions. I think it was like record breaking questions it was record breaking
There
across
was
the
a
board,
lot of
right?
traffic.
But
There was
yeah,
a lot of traffic in the comments and the questions.
there was just so many questions that we couldn't get to them all. Otherwise, we were going to be there for like 5 hours. So we wanted to get a few of those answered tonight.
Okay.
We're live, so if you guys got any additional questions, whether it be scissoring related, whether it be client confrontation, or literally anything else that you want to ask Jess, throw it in the
But just
comments.
remember, it's scissoring with the shears. I know that it's getting late night now and your kids are, in bed. It's not that type of, okay?
Disclaimer.
Just
So
had to make you blush.
yeah. This isn't we get a little raunchy, but let's keep it in the grooming
Yeah.
side of things. All right, so again, we got Tone here in the back, kind of monitoring the chat. He's gonna be saving your comments. So as we go, if you just have some comments you want her to answer down the line, we're gonna start with the ones from the webinar specifically. All right, you ready for this?
Let's go. Shoot.
Do you have a policy or contract that you make clients sign? And if so, what's in it?
So I have official paperwork and I do a digital signature for my clients. And it's the standard things, just as far as elderly dogs, they require comfort grooms. That's a big one. Puppies, we're going to get acclimation grooms. So basically, I want to let them know how I'm working. And then in their adult years, we're on a schedule. And we'll make up the schedule to how I qualify each client. Each client has a different lifestyle, so that changes. But usually, typically, it's about a month for each dog. That's like optimal care. Of course, the policies with no shows is one time gratis. I always believe in giving somebody a one-time chance. Things happen. And then the next time they get fully charged and they leave a credit card on deposit.
Yeah.
So that's that. As far as lateness, I give them 15 minutes and I need to have at least 2 ways to contact them. And or if it's, obviously if it's a latch key, sometimes they put the alarm on and that becomes a problem. So anything that causes me extra time, I give them 15 minutes. After that, they get charged by the hour.
And you're mobile. So just to clarify that for
I'm
anybody
completely
that doesn't know.
mobile. I've been mobile 17 years and 2 years salon experience when I first started, 2 to 3 years. And so I know people have issues with picking up and dropping off. So that again, those are boundaries. If you know you have the same client that typically has the same rhythm of how they move within your business, then it's up to you to stop them and to say, hey, listen, you're utilizing my time. And we talked about this on the webinar. And I utilize things like my daughter needs to be picked up at a certain time. So when you do this, it's a chain effect so I can't have it happen because I'm going to lose my babysitter. Even if that's not 100% the case and your mom's watching them and she can stay all day because she lives there, you also have to let people know in your own way that they're burning your time. So I think time's a big one. Price increases, another one that's in my policy. They will experience at least a 5 to 10% price increase depending on gas, supply chain issues. And I think that's universal there. I also have now a Facebook, Instagram live. Your pet will be on my live streams. Are you okay with that? You do not have rights to any of these things. You will not get any compensation. Your compensation is having this girl with your dog. And I tell them just like that. And I'm like, are you okay with that? I make them say it verbally to me. We have a verbal agreement as far as consultation and qualification in the beginning, and then it goes to an email digital. So I think I covered all of the things as far as senior, pet, no-show, lateness, no pickups.
I really love that price increase. The price increase thing, because so many people have issues with like, how do I tell people, I'm going to be raising my prices. But when you like set the standard in the beginning and just let them know, like off rip, you're going to have price increases at some point, there's a yearly price increase and this is just how it is. Then there's no surprises and they don't like feel bad about doing it. I like that.
Absolutely. And the main thing for that is to set up expectation. Not all of us are business people first. We're artists. And, we like to give our craft away. We'll give the extra, hot spots and treatment baths. And we'll do all those things because we have a love and a passion for what we do. And we know it's going to help the pet. But at the same token, we have to watch out for our business so that we can provide a door and a space for them to come. So it's a balance thing. And so what you have to do is correlate, take yourself out of the picture. And I know people struggle with this. This is the best advice I can give you. And correlate it to, you know what? Somebody's going to come to my door and ask me for rent, mortgage, electric, and I have to provide these things. And they're going to go up every single year. Gas has gone up, so much. And supplies, sharpening. So if you stay the same, you're only doing a detriment to yourself, your body, and you're not like valuing yourself. So just remember that. And if somebody questions you about your price, maybe they're just not your client.
Yeah, 100%. Not everyone is your client.
For
It's
sure.
okay.
And there are a ton of dogs for all of us now.
For sure. There's no shortage of them. So people get worried like, oh, what if nobody wants to book with me? And then, don't worry about that. They're out there. They'll find you.
Like I said in the webinar, and I look straight at the camera and I will say it again. Now is the time, groomers. We have the power, and we also are gaining so much knowledge through these platforms like never before. You have to grab the money off the floor and put it in your pocket, but you have to grab the money off the floor. You can't just expect it to jump at you, and you have to do the hard work. And if people know that you do that hard work, they're going to want to be in your salons and shops, and then you're going to have the power to say, no, you don't brush your dog. Bah. And then recommend it to someone else. If we are all on the same page with that, we will train very well, and that's it. They'll go from one place to another. If Susie, Nina, Jess, Tommy, if everybody's saying the same thing, then I guess we got the power. So this is the time.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So I'm going to skip around on these questions. I had them in order, but you're bringing me to a new place. How do you handle when someone asks for a senior discount?
I tell them that I want a chubby girl discount. I want a chubby girl discount for being the cutest chubby girl with the nicest short haircut possible. And they laugh, and I say, you know that I can't. You have to disarm people a little bit. I use humor. You have to use what you know. Other great groomers have other ways of doing it, and we all have our ways. But my way, since you're asking, is I disarm them. I make them laugh. I compliment them. I say, hey, you know what? I get it. I understand you're looking for a deal. I as well like deals. My wife loves a good deal. However, I just can't offer that to you because I have such a client base that's willing to pay over what I'm charging you. And at this point, it's not good business sense for me. So I hope you understand. But the best I can do is give you your dog today 10% more love than I did the last time. And that I can give you.
I
No
love
problem.
that.
You know, and so yeah, you just have to tell them, like, I want to do for you, but I'm going to do it with all my love and my passion. And I
Yeah.
promise you, you're going to get more today.
Love it. You got to show the value that they're getting. Cause like
Absolutely.
people will think like, oh, that's expensive. Wow. But if they're just basing it purely off of the price tag and they're not taking into account what you're getting for the price tag, then they're not your customer, because they're not never going to see the value. If they're literally out there just shopping purely off price and wanting a discount, or like, oh, give me, Groupon, does that even exist anymore? Like any kind of way to get a deal, then those type of people they're always going to look for the cheapest price. And that's just something that you're never going to be able to compete on. You just can't compete on price. You have to compete based on your customer service, on what you include in the grooms, on the whole experience.
Your experience. Boom, she got it. We're right on the same experience. And,
Yes.
you don't have to be the best groomer. You don't have to have the new latest greatest shop.
Exactly.
You don't even have to have the nicest haircut. But you should look all put together and give them the best experience. And I mean that. And I bring that up because a lot of people talk about that. They're like, even my family, like, you always have a good haircut. You always well groomed. Because I come to mop the floors with just like in, you remember Coming to America, Eddie Murphy, he was like, I'm mopping the floors. And he had so much joy.
Yeah.
And, grew up with these movies, and I said, you know what? You kind of put it together in life, but I'm mopping the floor, I'm grooming the dog. I want to come the happiest I can come, and I want to show them that I am a professional, and that's part of the experience. It doesn't have to be the very best, but at least you try, and you come and you say, you know what? I love your dog. I don't have a ton of money to produce all these beautiful things and all these things, but I know that my heart is going to be put into this groom, and I will promise you nobody will ever say anything about that. Even the meanest person, you can kind of be like, you're too nice.
Okay. Perfect segue.
Good.
How do you get over a harsh customer complaint? Like, just mean people. They said, for example, I was told I should have never became a groomer.
That was a harsh one. We read that at the end of the webinar, and all of us kind of cringed a little bit inside. We were like, that hurts from your soul. You have to kind of pick again you get that, and like I said, it feels like a knot, and you get a knot in your stomach, and you're like, wow, that hurt. First of all, you have to say, that hurt. Acknowledge that it hurts your feelings, and that you feel some type of way. That's one thing. Kind of pick that apart and say, I'm hurt with this. And then you say, well, why am I hurt? Is there any truth to that? Could I improve upon my skills? When was the last time I took a webinar? And really look at your work and say, you know what? No, it was really damn good. And if you can take a list and say, I did this, I did that, and I know it was good, then you know what? That's just being a mean person. That is a person who is hurt, who wants to hurt someone else. And there are people in this world that just walk around that way. And we have to develop a thick skin. Absolutely. And, a lot of people don't, realize this, but just because I'm always jolly doesn't mean I don't get hurt. I'm actually a really sensitive person. I just know how to protect myself a little bit better now, but I wasn't taught there were so many mean people in the world. And then you get them in front of you and you're like, and you cower. I used to be a person, here's another aha moment, I couldn't even public speak. And so, and this is a big thing. Yeah, we didn't talk about this, but I used to get up, kid you not, this girl. But, it really was about just having an anxiety and not being able to kind of pick apart why. And it's just one of those things where I used to swallow constantly. It was bad. And now look at me, Miss Live America over here. But you could but as groomers, we witness this with animals, right? Where you see a dog that completely is shut down, pooping on the table, shivering, and then with time, that dog flourishes, and or cat flourishes, and you're like, I remember the day that dog was cowering, and now it's licking me. We're live together, and I'm like, it's amazing how when you change your mentality, everything can open up for you. So that's really what it is. It's a change of mentality. So when someone tries to break down your mental, you don't go low, you go high, and you say, that might be the case for that groom, and maybe that's what you feel, but honestly, I don't feel that way. So if you feel that way, guess what? I feel like it's time for us to part ways. So thank you so much for shining a light on what a terrible person you can be to people who work on your pet. It's a nice way of saying, you know what, and you just say that. Thank you so much for hurting my feelings and making me feel so terrible that night that I had to call my girlfriend and eat like a whole thing of bonbons. and like sometimes, I swear, sometimes some people like that, they're like, womp womp. You have to let them know in a nice way. Listen, you hurt my feelings. That really wasn't nice. It's a nice way of going about doing. You don't have to hurt people's feelings. So just try to be able to synthesize if this is a hurt thing, is it a real thing? And also look at your own self. There are times where I see groomers who are overcharging and they kind of have this air about them. And I look at their work and I study what they're doing, and I'm really trying to pick apart, what they're putting out there. And I'm like, but are you really getting that experience? Because just from your Instagram, your Facebook, and your socials, I don't feel that from you. So maybe there's a disconnect. So I always also put accountability on us as groomers, because all of us aren't as, we're people as well. And a lot of the times, we experience this where, we're putting on classes or we're selling bandanas, and our own people are like, no, I want that for free. And these are the same people that also want to charge for dematting, charge for late fees. So it goes hand in hand. Just be a decent person and know that if somebody is providing a service and a kick butt service, you should compensate them for that, because knowledge is key. It's key. It's a staircase of how we get more power and more, open in our lives. We learn.
Yeah, for sure.
Ask another question. Let's get to the other question.
Just to comment on that, like, there's such a big thing right now of everybody saying, charge your worth, like, know your value and like charge what you're worth. But you hit on a good point that, like, some people overcharge. Like, they think they're worth more than they are, where you can't just come out the gate and charge $100 and up for dogs. Like, there's definitely a progression. So you have to like figure out where you're at with that. And like you said, you could just take a look at someone's Instagram and like be on Instagram, first of all, like get an Instagram account and start posting your grooms, because people want to see what you're capable of and what it is that they are going to be expecting when that's your portfolio right there of like what you do.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I mean, people, we say, oh, we're like the highest in the area, but how often are you calling around to your competitors to ask their prices? Like, how are you finding that out, and how are you gauging your prices against theirs, and like compare their grooms and their Instagram and like what they offer, and like go maybe just stop in, and if they have a salon versus a mobile, that and you can go in and actually look at it, see what their setup looks like. Some, you walk in and he doesn't have any more, but like Jonathan David's salon it's epic, like you go into that, it's like it's a whole different it's a whole different ball game when you're going to kind of like a little hole in the wall groomery that isn't decorated nice, it's kind of dirty, it's not a great smell, the customer service isn't good. Like, you can't charge if you alone, like even if your grooms are amazing, that experience of walking into that, or say a mobile, like if it's a dirty mobile, they're gonna see a little bit, unless you like are like, no, I come to the door and I get it, and you never see inside of my mobile, even the outside. Get your mobiles washed. That's all perception.
Absolutely.
But
that's
like
that's your billboard. I mean, I know this to be so true. It's your billboard, and again, it goes back to I'm mopping the floor, and that's gonna stay in people's heads. That it is, and I love to teach that way, so people can. In the moment that they say, damn, is that a bad experience I give? I'm mopping the floor. Remember, go back to that and say, are you mopping the joy today? Or is your energy projecting out? And maybe the customer's feeling some type of way about what you're giving out, So it goes, there's always three sides to the story.
For sure. Cool. All right, let's see. Next one. How do you handle upset customer whose husband dropped off and told you to take it all down, just shave it off, and that's obviously not what they wanted?
We almost did this scenario. We actually had this set up as a scenario, but there's just so much information, so that got omitted from the webinar. But like I said, I had salon experience where I was not the boss, and that is very uncomfortable. So I can relate to this, where the husband drops off and he has one way, and within one family, there isn't any communication. How is that possible? So possible. It is so possible. And we all know that. So what the best thing to do is you have to have a cover your butt file. What if you already know that this is a trend, and you already know, you're hearing it on Groom House, now you know this is a trend. When that husband comes in, you write it down and say, hi, what's your name? What's your contact? I know that you're not usually the drop off. I just want to confirm with your wife that this is okay. Oh, what do you mean you want to confirm with my wife? Well, sir, it's just to make sure that the both of you are on the same page. Or you don't even have to say it. Read your audience, read the room. So just in case if they ask for the phone number, why? But they should, even though they're dropping off. Just have a double communication and make sure that you're always 3 steps or 5 steps ahead of that. If it does happen where everybody needs the ball, it's hair, it's going to go back. It's a miscommunication that really is between the owner and the salon and their miscommunication. Yes, the customer is always right. So what you say is, I'm so sorry that this happened. We were a little bit confused and maybe we should have called. You always take a little bit of responsibility. Maybe we should have called, but your husband seemed very adamant that you wanted to take it all off. And listen, guys, it could be an argument. You know, not everything is going to be sweet with a cherry on top. You're going to have a bad day, but at least you prepare for that. Some of these conversations you have to mentally prepare for and just, okay, I know this is going to be like rough and I know that this is going to be a thing, but get yourself ready. Arm yourself with your shield and say, you're not going to get me down. And know when to stop. You know, if it's futile, you say, you know what? We agree to disagree, but now I have to close the doors, or now I have to get back to work, or, you know, and if you know, this is another good tip. If you know that this person is futile, have a backup person, have a code word. Have your assistant come on and be like, hey, Jess, you know what? Sparky in the back is not doing well. And that way you can get out of that situation, right? It's almost like the date word, right? Like when you know you're about to get roofied, you have to have your girlfriend be like, stick her finger in the drink and be like, that's not it, you know, second location kind of thing. So, you know, we have to be strategic. This is all strategy. We have to be strategic in the way we move through this world of grooming and the internet now, because there are reviews, there are a lot of people watching, and there's cameras everywhere. So here's the thing. If you're always doing the right thing, you're okay, you know? So keep yourself in the right, cover your butt file, and just know that things are going to happen. If situations never happen, I would not be able to teach you the way I'm teaching you. They've happened plus 10 to me. And you know what? It's only made me a stronger, better groomer, and not only in grooming and in life. I'm able to go now, I'm at a global pet fair. This is not a grooming convention, so it's on a bigger scale as far as these big mecca companies, all different languages. So again, you're prepared for all these walks of life because I've walked it through the grooming life. So some of these things are not bad, they're uncomfortable, and we don't like to be uncomfortable, but guess what? You have to get uncomfortable to get comfortable again.
Yep, and it's part of owning a business, right? Like,
you
just have to know groomers go into grooming thinking like, oh, I don't want to deal with people. And, you know, that's fine if you're at a salon where you're an employee and you're in the back and you literally never have to deal with a customer and there's, you know, a front desk and you know, there's a buffer between you and the client. But if you want to own your own business, you have to know that you're going to be dealing with people. That's like a huge part of business, is the customer service and building relationships with people and like knowing how to handle situations like that. So if you're the type of person that like just have too much anxiety or whatever the case may be with like dealing, you know, with confrontation and handling situations like that, maybe owning a business shouldn't be for you, or you need a partner or something, you know, that will help you to handle that situation.
Yes, you have to fill, we talked about a lot this week in filling gaps. You know, I have the wind beneath my wings with my partner and very strong behind me. Silent, but that's a silent. Sometimes the strongest things aren't the loudest things. So maybe you have to hire a Jess Adorno in front of the house and just disrobe everybody, and that works for you. And just take care of that person really well and know that they're pivotal to your business, and it'll be okay.
Yeah. All right, we got a couple more questions, but I want to see if there's any if we have any new questions from comments. Do we have anything that we can throw up? All right. Would you please A, give us your spiel to encourage and get the client to understand and maintain early puppy intro sessions. B,
This is my favorite one.
let's do it in parts because there's a few parts. So let's try that. Let's do just encouraging a client to maintain early puppy intro sessions, like starting as a puppy.
So I'm at this pet fair and we have 5 puppies in the booth that I'm grooming throughout the day, and it's so cute.
Aww.
And it's interesting that this is more of a pet parent kind of show, and you see them walking around, and it's interesting. A lot of pet parents don't know what to do, so this is the best way. Even if they don't have kids, they do know of kids. So you say, hey, listen, when you brought your child to the first day of school and you kind of left them, it's scary for them. So now we have to build trust with the teacher. Okay, so I'm the teacher of your new puppy, aka your child, right? And you do it in a way where they can correlate in their life and see, oh, okay, and it makes sense to them. And you say, if I don't get your puppy in a sequence close together, I'm not going to be able to formulate a great experience. Therefore, building their, what their brain correlates is good and bad. It's different from us. They can't go to therapy. They can't work it out. They just remember good or bad. So I have to give the best experiences, and I need your help to ensure that your pet is going to have the best grooming future. And even if it's not me grooming this pet for the future, and you move, you'll never have a problem kind of rehoming them because they will always see it as a good thing.
Yeah.
And you say, and if they say, well, I don't have kids, I says, but you have a niece or nephew, you could imagine how fearful it could be. And if they never acclimated this child into school, what would it be? And then they say, well, we homeschool. We'll homeschool. But, and then you say, well, then you just have to homeschool your dog. You have to home groom your dog. Yeah. Again, if they're going to cut you at the pass and kind of give you the, aha, I got you, then I'm not going to spend my time kind of giving you all of my knowledge for you to kind of shut it down when I'm trying to help your puppy and to make sure that your life is easy. Because have we ever seen the clients that can't get a groomer because they've been fired from one to the next to the next? They're desperate. They are desperate. They have been taught the worst lesson, and now it's to the point where now the dog's in a bad situation. So you have to also, I would also bring it up and say, you don't want to get kicked out of grooming shops, do you? Or mobiles. You go in like that, and you tell me, you don't want your dog to be a misfit, do you? And they're like, oh, no. So I like to always put it on them as well and give them that. And they just, okay.
Yeah. So how often do you recommend the puppy to come in? Every week, 2 weeks, once a month until they're comfortable with the grooming, and then set up a routine for that client? Or do you just do a bath, dry, light trim on every puppy that comes? And how do you charge for that compared to regular rates?
Okay, so I charge hourly, so the puppy would pay $125 for all of this knowledge to start. Now, not every puppy or case is the same. There are puppies that come from situations that might be matted already because there was a lack of knowledge. So I can't say that I'm going to trim all of them. I'm going to put the puppy in the best shape possible and make sure that their mental is not screwed up from the grooming. So if it has to be that it's a 7F strip to make sure that this is not a bad experience and we go slow, then that's going to be that. If the puppy's in great shape and it's a light trim and that's what they can handle, great. It just depends on each individual case, but they don't get charged less for that because maybe I take off 4 hairs, but in the 4 hairs, maybe it took me an hour to take off 4 hairs because the dog was jumping all over the table. So you have to also key into your time.
And you're training them at the same time.
Yeah.
It's not like they're just there,
Yep.
You're just doing a little bit and that's it. Yeah.
Right. Talking to them, when they get dry, you're not going to go on the high power dry. You're going to go on the low power. Everything is remember the staircase, step by step by step. So I have to have the time with that puppy to train them effectively and efficiently for the rest of their life. And and I tell them, if you're not going to invest in that, then I can't invest in this either. Yeah. And there it is. And they're like, okay. It's basically like, you want to get married or not?
Yeah, exactly.
Are you that into me or you're not that into me? And they're like, we're into you. And I'm like, that's right. Stay into me. And then even the ones that kind of say it just because I kind of got them there, And they come back in like 3 or 4 months and they're like, Jess, do you know that my friend does not have a groomer? And they saw the haircut and they're like, oh, honey, okay. And I'm like, you invested, you
People
see?
don't
And
know that
so,
their dogs can look as good as they can.
and you prove to them. It's also experience, right? You know, I have the problem now that everybody sees what I do and they're like, perfection. You're going to go live with this dog, right? All my friends want to see this. And I'm like, your dog is not the right dog for that. So that's another intricate topic of like, now they want me to go live. And then also some people that I don't have to qualify now see me online and like, I want you to come. I want you to do my dog. And that's still not the right client. So I'll tell you, don't make decisions out of desperation either. Not all money is good money. And that's from a friend of mine.
100%. So this was a question from the webinar. How often do you recommend customers pre-book their appointments?
So this goes back to the puppy thing that I missed because it just reminded me. I like puppies to come in once a month because, like children, they go through different phases. They go through like the doughy, like, oh, I don't know what's happening here. Like, I don't know. And then the next month, they're like, yeah, I know you. You know me. We did it. And I know I'm going to go around this. And you're like, no. And then on the third groom, they're like, all right, let's meet in the middle here. Let's meet in the middle here. I want to move around a little bit. And you want to get this done. So it's kind of the meeting of the minds. By the fourth groom, you guys should be locked in. And sometimes it takes a little bit more. But I say a month because they are going to change within the month. In the weeks, depends on the client too. If the client wants you to come every 2 weeks, then it's okay. But just know that on there are milestones that are happening in grooming and within that puppy that are going to change for you as a groomer. So that's why I say a month. And a month as regular clients is why I think a month is just perfect.
Yeah. So you pre-book everybody monthly?
Yeah, I feel like 2 weeks, you're still in love with the dog. It's soft. It smells good. By the third week, you're like, and by the fourth week, you're like, I need it. There it is. Yeah. Nice. It's just for smell, vitals. It just depends on the client, too, if they're obsessive compulsive. And how much does the client also offer home care? Okay? I always say NC, no home care. I'll say it all the way, the code word. I'm like, oh, this is a no home care dog. Or this is a home care dog. Your dog was a home care dog. Just went in there, bathed them. He knew what I'm ready to go. And then there are dogs that are not cared for until each session with the groomer. Yeah. So if the clients, set the boundary and when they sign it up, they'll know, like during the pandemic, when they did not have the schedules and then they came back on schedule, they were like, oh, I've never seen a dog like this. And you're like, you love me, right? You love me, right?
Yeah.
And then when you put them back together and back to what they're used to, that vibe, then they're like, that's when you say, it's going to be $10 extra for me to put this vibe back now because I've been sitting at home thinking about business and it's just that I feel more essential now.
Yeah, right.
It's great. I mean, but that is what happens. You see your value. You went to 10,000 webinars during this pandemic and you now have invested more in yourself. Charge for that.
Yeah, for sure. All right. This one is a long one. It's about pricing. And as we know, you recommend hourly pricing. You've said that. So they're considering moving to hourly pricing. Would you also do hourly for just strictly bath dogs? At the moment, currently, they have all bath dogs, no matter the size, start at $50. And then their small full grooms start at $55. And then their large doodles start around $88. And she said she can get most of them done, most pet doodles done in under 2 hours. These prices, as a note, are pretty high for their area, but they're already booked a month in advance. So what are your thoughts and advice on that?
We actually discussed these prior because they came in after the webinar and like you and I were like, you were like, well, I don't really know if I like hourly. And I was like, so I gave my kind of spiel on it. And then I think we heard each other out. And the main thing with hourly is, and we agree upon this, is you have to explain what's happening hourly, and you also have to know your speed and you also have to know the groomer you are. We were talking about really well-known groomers that are slow. They do amazing work, but they work on the slower side. So would that yield that they get paid hourly? Well, essentially, if there's that high level of a groomer and they have this craft, if their groom, let's say, is $450 and they charge for that long 4 hour or 3 hour clip, it would have ended up to be the same. That's what we discussed, right? So hourly is just a way for, you really to show your worth, in my opinion. Like, this is just what we're going to start at. It clears everything up. But you do need to explain what's happening in that hour. What are they getting for that hour? I don't nickel and dime them for the hour. I give them everything nose to tail, so there's no a la carte. So explaining your hourly rate. Now, for this situation, again, you have the clientele. You're booked out a month. So I would not push all the way far as, let's jump to my rate. I think that, like I said in the webinar, you have to gauge your business where it's at. You have to know your audience and where you're grooming. I groom in New York and Connecticut and very affluent areas, and that might not be the case for everybody. So to be universal, you go to your business plan. Go to that business plan and say, hey, listen, this is where I'm at. If you've never done it, easy. Paper and pen and say, these are my costs. This is where I want to. This is where I want to be, and this is where I have to be, and meet in the middle. And then now reorganize and reset your business and say, hey, listen to your clients. I have 2020. I love to do this in the beginning of a new year. We're 3 months in, so we're not too far off. You can probably catch up to this quick and say, listen, there's a lot going on with, the world in general. And for me to keep my doors open, I've had to kind of like reinvent myself a little bit with my business strategy. So this is what I'm going to do. And then you speak about it with them. And just like weddings, marriage, and funerals, you will know who your customer are just as you know your family. Because your customers, when I tell my customers, listen, this has to happen, they're like, some might question me, and I always have an answer. And I think it's okay. Some people just need to question. That is just, they want to know why. It's okay. Have an answer. But most of the time, 98% of the time, my customers go, all right, just whatever it is, just send me the bill, because I've proven the value. I give them stellar experience, and I recheck my experience. I'm not saying this from 2010, Jessica. I'm saying it now. I just asked a client of mine, how's the customer experience? I know that I'm flying around and I'm doing grooming shows and, I'm busy, but that does not, this is a true story. That does not, me telling the client, exactly, that does not warrant me to discount any of your experience. I want to make sure that you're happy and you're still good. And she was like, oh my God. She was like, I'm so happy with you. And so, but how many of us check ourselves like that? And it's for me in my marriage, I did the same thing. My babe, are you happy? Are you good? Like, check yourself before you wreck yourself. And that's an accountability thing, right? I always want to be accountable for maybe what I'm not doing. I'm not perfect. I'm a human being. My haircuts are handcrafted. And maybe there's a day where I was a little more tired or not. And maybe there's a day that I had
everybody's
2
got bad
cups of
days.
Bustelo. I had 2 cups of that Bustelo coffee and I was like, wow. And that haircut was fly. And we all, this comes from our hearts and our hands and our bodies. So nobody is consistent every single day at that level. We have a range. So your haircuts will have a range. Yeah, and I think customer services say, you know what? I'm not sure what happened that day because I don't remember it. But here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to redo that groom for you in the bath and the trim. And I'm going to reset things. Wasn't right or whatever. And give them that one time. One time gratis means nothing. Give the customer what they want. They are the reason why you are here and why you're able to do this passion. So I just don't like when people just kind of like on a customer already. I don't like that. I feel like you're 2 people. What's the problem? And we could always meet in the middle.
Yeah.
And if we can't meet in the middle, it's usually not me. And if that person cannot, just cannot get over themselves, then we have to part as friends or not.
Yeah. Not everybody is your customer.
Do you think that was answered effectively? So gauge your audience, go back into your business and kind of reassess it where you need to go with it. And I see many groomers that are in this case and they move up $10. $10 is better than no dollars. So start. A lot of what I'm telling you is great information. Great. But if you do not apply it, it means nothing. So you have to practice what you're preaching. And there are times that I'm faced with my own preaching, and I will tell you guys, I know it's hard. I get faced with it like hot garbage in my face sometimes blowing at me, and I'm like, oh. But remember, is it worth it? Will it
Yeah.
matter in 5 years? You know what I mean? Will it really matter? Will the outcome matter more? Your consequences are going to matter in 5 years. So if that's going to cause you a bad review, if it's going to cause a big, something at your salon, or just maybe you to drive erratically because you're so upset, it's not worth it. It is not worth it, because if you don't wake up the next day, nothing was worth it there. Not worth it.
Yep.
Move on to the next client. There's so many out there.
So, yes to bath. It's all just hourly, right? Like going back to the question.
Oh, so now the
Hourly
bath
across
dogs.
the board,
So now,
right? It doesn't matter if they're bath
let's say
only.
let's say if this was $100 an hour and it was a bath dog that took 30 minutes. If you prorate the 30 minutes, then it becomes $50 still. So the customer would still be okay.
Yeah.
You really want to start charging for the extra matting, the extra time. The bow
You just
makers
got to
and
know
the
how long it
dance
takes you to do
makers-
things. Like, you got to do the math.
And absolutely. And accessories too. I was just getting into that. Bow and bandanas and all those cute things, guys. When I hear groomers are not charging it because they just love to do it, that's great.
Yeah.
But again, it sets the standard down, because that means that I have to do that when I'm paying someone to do it, because I'm not as good as you. So just remember that even if it's $1, upcharge on that and say, I give this in the general price, but I make them. And that alone is beautiful, that you make something for their dog. Sorry, I'm just too busy to do that, but I have wonderful people that make them as well.
Yeah, I mean, and communicate too, because not everybody wants them. So you also don't want to waste them on people who don't appreciate them. They might be annoyed. You have to that's the whole communication. Like, oh, do you like this? Or do you get home and you take it right off because you're like, I don't want this on my dog.
Yes.
Having that communication, about all those things, don't waste your money on things people don't want.
And you would think mobile, I would see that right away because I'm right in their house. But sometimes I'm like, oh, I forgot the collar, and I go right in and the bandana's off, and I'm like,
oh, already?
What happened to the bandana?
Instantly,
yeah. And I'm like, and I'll say, what happened to it? And I'm like, oh, I really don't need it. Don't put it on me. I'm like, good, $2 in my pocket.
No problem.
Yeah.
For real.
That's
That's
preference.
a good thing. Even just ask them maybe when they first start, do you like bandanas or bows? If you give options, some people upcharge for them, so it's not included, but don't just waste it if they don't want it.
Yeah.
All right, do we have any other
Absolutely.
questions? I think I saw a few coming up. I know there was one about, how do you handle fake reviews online?
You have to report them. You have to report them. I mean, you and I know, Nina and I are very
fake,
type
right?
A people. Yeah, if they're fake, you have to report them. And like I said, we're type A people. We are on our game, because just as much as people want to, go after you, you have to be on top of your business as well. If somebody's threatening, fake reviews and things like that, report it. Go right to Google, set your cases up. If you're in the know, then people won't mess with you because they'll know you'll take it right down. You know?
Yeah, you got to be monitoring your reviews first, right? Like, be
Absolutely.
aware that that they're out there and exist, and be checking up on them. I think fake, there's a lot of different levels of fake, right? One could be somebody completely just wrote a review on the wrong business, right? You can have somebody that just thought that was the business. Some of the businesses have really similar names. Maybe they just didn't even know and they just thought that was it. But
paparazzi's in Arizona as well. And some people will call the paparazzi in Arizona and say, do you know your driver is driving 8 miles per hour? And she'll call me and tell me, somebody called in and I said, yeah, that was me.
Oh
it's okay.
God, that's too funny.
Just kidding, not really, I am. But it happens.
I see. Okay, Tone's trying to show me Sprout Social is something to look into for reviews and managing them, I guess, from all the different places that they can come from.
Basically populates all the reviews.
It populates all the review places for you in one place, so you don't have to go to Yelp and to Facebook and to Google and all the places that you have your reviews set up.
Sprout Survey.
Sprout Social, right? Is that it?
Sprout Social, okay.
So yeah, I mean, that obviously 100% report that. It's just completely wrong and fake. It's not your business. There's also people who will leave reviews for grooming businesses that never actually got their dog groomed, but they called or maybe didn't get an answer. They called and left a message and like we're waiting for an answer, and they're just upset at the fact that they couldn't get through, or they were booked out a year in advance and they couldn't get an appointment, and they're just pissed. And so they'll go on and complain at the fact that they couldn't get through or couldn't get an appointment. And that's, you know, it's not technically fake, but they didn't have any service from you. So I would still report something like that just because it's, you know, they didn't have your service. So I would definitely fight that kind of response if you got any kind of, you know, bad reviews from that. I think that's fightable. And then, you know, then there's fake being they did have service with you, but they're just flat out lying about everything that happened and saying that you like either just completely destroyed their dog, or maybe you hurt their dog, or, you know, there's definitely fake to that sense where you actually are dealing with a real customer that you interacted with, and they're just psychotic and go on a rant about something that's not even true. In that case, you can report it depending on if they're using like slurs and bad language, and or I think there's one in Yelp specifically, it's probably in Google too, where if they're like saying someone by name, you know, or saying something, you know, that would out somebody that works at the establishment. There's different reasons for being able to take bad reviews down. But at the end of the day, you should be responding. Like all the reviews, even if the good ones, you know?
My favorite response, what you touched on as far as responding, and it's, you know, even how it gets kind of futile. Remember what I said before, you have a cover your butt file, right? So when you respond, oh, here's Charlie's picture, people of the page reading this, and Charlie's like this, and the dog looks so cute, and people are like, that person's crazy. And so that's the cover the butt file that I said. This is a world of pictures and camera, and you should be taking a picture. And
if you're
even
too
if
busy to
quick,
take pictures, you need to schedule that time.
Quick.
Quick. You know, as long as you have some kind of evidence, and keep them, figure out a way, you know, like if it's filling up your phone, figure out a way to like try to put them on file for that particular dog. Maybe, you know, if you have those systems where you're able to like have profiles on every individual dog, things like that, I think that's great. All right, how can I explain to pet parents that their dog is just too old to continue to be groomed?
That's a personal thing. You know, I have a dog that most of you would be like, wow, I just cannot believe this is even happening. But these owners have gone to every length, they've signed every waiver, and the dog stands up. I mean, it's a long story, but there are people that know that it's either going to be you or them, and they cannot do it. So this is a personal choice. Again, this is a boundary. If you know that you're not comfortable with that dog, and that you feel like it's just not your core, it's not right, and say, you know what, honestly, I'm not equipped to handle this anymore. I really feel like I'm going to hurt your dog, or something bad's going to happen, and I can't take. Yeah, it's a liability, and I can't take accountability for it. And you just have to do what you have to do. You have to protect yourself first. Remember, you put the air on yourself first before your own child. So you have to take care of yourself, your business, and your soul before you trying to please anybody, because then you're becoming part of the problem, right? And that's they're going to get everybody to do what they want because they manipulate it, they make you feel bad. If somebody says, no, this is not good for your dog, and you know that dog can survive, or you could say, I'll do the vitals. I will do the nails. I will pluck your dog's ears if needed, or I'll do the vitals. But as far as a full groom, this dog is too fragile. Offer them a compromise, always, if you can.
Awesome. All right, we got another one.
I had a quick story about taking pictures with dogs. I had a good client, and there was no shade in this, but she called me and she said the dog doesn't walk after the groom. This dog cannot walk after the groom. And I was like, huh? And so she says, yeah, and she recounted everything that happened with him. I've had this dog since he was a puppy, and now he's a senior dog, but senior like 13. He can still stand and whatever, but he's become lazy, and I happened to go live with this dog that day, and I happened to have the footage of the dog. So I says, really? I says, he couldn't walk? And she says, did anything happen during the grooming? Because That is the only defense they have. This is where the switch happened. Something happened. So, and remember, we are handling these animals, moving them, bathing. They have to get up, sit down. So it's physical for them. And what happened was his rear locked up because he's developed severe arthritis. They did not really kind of key into this because her daughter has severe MS. So there's a lot going on in the house. They rely on me to get the dog. I showed her the video. She says, well, how come you have video of my dog? And I go, oh, I go live all the time. These old guys, talking 15 years, you know, and she's an older woman. So, and she said, okay. And I showed her the video and the dog's sitting there and I'm scissoring the face and he's going like this and he's sitting. He sat most of that groom. And so I had the video to show her. So she believed me. I had the receipts and she took the dog to the vet the next day, severe arthritis. And it was just the grooming itself and him jumping when I got there. And he was just really, and it kind of just flared him up. And since then, he's on a medicine. He's better. Everything from that one groom that could have been kind of like what happened here? Because I had those receipts, she was like, Jessica's clear. I killed my butt. And we got to the real problem was that he just needed medicine now for that arthritis.
Well, that's
so
good.
It doesn't always have to be for a review. It can be to help the dog too.
Yeah, for sure. All right. When you do a price increase, do you post somewhere for clients to see that it's coming on X date, tell client at pickup that the next time the groom will be higher, or just increase without warning like at a grocery store? Gas prices.
So again, I'm mobile, so it's a very personal type of service. I read the room. There are clients that I have never even met. They know me, they trust me through a client of a client of a client, very affluent people, and they give me their garage code. I go in their home, get their dog. Now, if I've never met them, I can't give them that personal. If they've never wanted to meet me, you know, that's the way we are. That's our relationship. Hi, so-and-so, starting da-da-da-da, this is going to be the price increase. No problem. I'll make sure, remind me when I send you over the payment. That's usually what happens. I also read the room when it's time for an increase. You know, we went through a global pandemic. People were getting stimulus checks. There was a lot going on. I was not going to come and raise the price. After tax season, though, I'm raising the price. You know what I mean? Because you have to know that it's not always in the beginning of the year. You know? Yeah. Gauge what's going on now. Okay, everybody's getting back to this. People are working again. Okay, the gas is going up. This is the appropriate time. And then there's also appropriate time for just yearly increases, you know? So I give it to them, okay, this is your yearly increase and this is now for what's going on, which is in your contract. It could rate, gauge, again, cover your butt. And they're like, okay, Jess, you know? And I have a little old lady that's like, I'm on a fixed income and this is going to be hard for me, but I know you're worth it. So I'll cut somewhere else.
Yeah. If you want that iPhone or those new shoes or purse, like you find the money for it. Like that's what it is. That's your priority.
And I think the overall key thing for me is that I communicate very well. I don't leave anything open for a or a question. I will tell you, most of our issues are user error, you know, user error for not setting the boundaries. So if that's happening to you, it's happened to me before. I just take a beat and I say, what happened in that situation and how can I make it better? And then I just keep on working to make sure that it's seamless or flawless. And it's just a constant want. It's hard for me to answer review questions because I don't get bad reviews, you know? But I make sure that if I have a client that I follow up with them and I say, hey, you know, maybe it's a week later, maybe it's a day later, maybe it's an hour later. And I go, hey, how was Roscoe's Groom? Did you really enjoy it? Was it good? I went back and I left the collar just the other day before I came out to Groom House. And it was literally a 4-minute away drive. And he goes, don't worry, I'll pick it up at my friend's house. You're at my friend's house. And I go, no, I'm bringing it back. It was my integrity that, why should he have to come and get it? I forgot it. It was behind the towel. And I brought it back to him. And he instantly gave me the review right there. He goes, I just brought the dog to the dog park. He was a winner. And so you get it there. They see the value when their friends are saying it. Yeah. And so it's a one-on-one. Have the conversations. And before I qualified that dog, I told him, I just want you to know that You have to be the utmost flexible with me. That doesn't mean that I'm not going to get there. It means that maybe it's not on every Monday of every month, but it'll be every month.
Yeah.
So it's just setting that communication really tightly and closely and having the check-ins with them.
For sure. Love it. Everybody really just was.
And that's just practice. Just practice that.
Yeah, practice. Always gotta see. That's why I like the little role plays.
Practice
I think
makes
people
perfect.
were loving
Once
those
you
role
do
plays.
Yeah. Once you do it one time, you kind of like poop your pants a little bit. Like while you're doing it, you're like, oh, Jess told me to do this. I know. I watched this and that. And then when it's over, you're like, oh, that was great.
It's exhilarating.
And then you do it again, and you do it again, and do it again. And then at some point, it just becomes part of your like exercise, lifestyle, your grooming style, your business style. And it just takes practice. Practice with your shears, practice with your customer experience. It takes work. Nothing is worth anything if it's not hard work. If it comes too easy, it's probably not as good as you think.
Yeah, for sure.
Is this another webinar? Are we having another webinar
I know,
here?
right? Might have to get charged for this.
This is for the love. This is for the love. And so this is why I want to tell you guys, when Groom Haus offers these webinars and you see this is look at this platform. They're taking their time out just to make sure that every question got answered and then some. And we both are doing it because it's for a passion for our industry. If we don't build like a staircase, us as educators and producers, then where are you guys going to watch these things? I want you, what it took me 20 years to learn, I want you to learn it in 5. I want you to learn it in 2. And I want you to be bigger and better and badder than me. Because if you're a better groomer than me, the dogs, forget it. We're doing the right thing. So take that energy and just say, maybe I'm not at that level just yet, but I will get there. I'm going to shoot higher. I tell all of my mentees, you are going to be better than me one day. And they look at me and they're like, and I'm like, you will. And then I start seeing them scissor and I'm like, I see it coming. You put that to practice in 15 years, I'll be a little old lady. I'll look so slow.
That's the goal, because it took you, however long it took you to learn what you learn. When you apprentice, it's you trying to explain it so much easier to them that they're going to learn it much faster than what you learned it. It's just natural that they should excel and get to your point much quicker. Yeah, 100%. You got to be dedicated. You got to want to learn.
And then I never had Groom Haus. I never had these things, And thank God for Jay and Suzeko. I mean, they really were the pillars and still are. And now that we have extras, I don't feel there's any reason for there to be a question because there's so much information out there. The next thing that we all have to do collectively is practice. Just practice.
Yeah.
That's it. Practice and shoot
Raise the bar
for higher each time. And you'll see. Don't worry about the money. The money will come. Remember, if you do what you love, it will come. Trust me.
All right, back on price increases. We got someone asking how do you know, I guess, how much of an increase you should do?
Again, you have to be aware of your business. I know that when Mercedes, and this is true, charges me $2,000 for oil change and service, I have to look at my books and say, okay, now my insurance is X amount. This is X amount. Gas is X amount. And that is how you set your price increase. If you don't know how to do that, there are accountants that know how to do that and help you with that. Spend a little, invest a little into those things because it will give you a bigger reward back, a gain. Remember, investing will always give you a good return.
Yeah.
Not always if it's the stock market or whatever, but in this situation, in your education, it's going to give you the return. I said always, and that's not true, but in this situation.
Cool. All right. I think that's our last question. Was that it? Was there any more? We good?
Yeah.
We're coming up on an hour here, so perfect timing. I think everybody was just showing all the love. I'm sure we'll go check the comments after. Everybody loved Shear Confidence.
Thank you, guys.
It's available for replay, so if you missed out, you definitely missed out. Yeah. But you don't have to miss out because you can go get that replay anytime for life. So.
And buy it for your shops. We talk about incentives. What a great incentive for an owner to say, hey, you know what? I saw this live. I think you could use this. And give the webinar. employees and things like that. You have to be part of the solution, right? If there's a problem, be part of the solution and train up. And I just got an email from a wonderful young lady, and she says, I've had this one here, I've had that one here. I want you to come to my shop and train because I know that I'm not a good teacher. And I love what you do in other industry. And, you know, and I just said, like, this is amazing that if you can't be it, remember, fill the gaps, get people that can do it, and collectively come together if you can't afford to do it. And I promise you one thing, our industry, you know, we do great, but if you really want the education, a lot of us groomers will work with you to get it to you in the way we can. So
for sure.
There it is,
one
guys.
More question?
What are we on, Wednesday?
Oh, no, it's just
I know.
comment.
Oh, okay.
They received their handwritten.
Oh, yeah, they received their... See, man, I wasn't the only one. I got it, too. 1 day shipping.
Nina got the...
1 day shipping.
1 day shipping.
Yeah, they came through.
Now, tell me in a month. I want to hear all the comments on that wristband and tell me. Sure. I have mine right here. We're talking about
Don't tell them, though. They got to get the webinar.
And we're not going to... We don't have it. No. They got to get the webinar. They got to get the webinar. We gave a lot. Gave you a lot today. And
we'll see.
What we were speaking about today is a start and is an in-depth to what was going on in the webinar and a whole bunch of shears.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It was definitely one you don't want to miss. Go grab that replay. And stay tuned for the next one. We got another awesome webinar coming up for April.
Yeah.
This whole year, we're booking up quick, and we got some good stuff coming for you guys. So stay tuned. We got Groom Haus 2.0 dropping soon too.
Good content to keep us on our toes, guys.
Yeah. All right.
Uh-oh. All right.
Thanks for joining us, guys.
All right. If you don't know where to find me, I'm at Paparazzi Pets, at Groom Haus. Come on, guys. Spread the word. Let's get this education going.
For sure. All right. Have a good night.
All right. Good night.